Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of On the Beat, the first of the second semester. I'm Tony Olivero here with my fellow men's basketball beat writer Brett LoGiurato, previewing this Saturday's noon tip-off game between Villanova and Syracuse. Again, another top 10 matchup in the Big East, another top 10 matchup for the Orange, coming off the first loss of the season in Pittsburgh. We won't get into that too much as we're going to be previewing just the Wildcat game this weekend. So just to start things off, Brett, there are three keys that we want to hone in on that the Orange definitely need to do this weekend in order to bounce back and win this game against Villanova. We'll start with the first one, the thing that's on most people's mind, Chris Joseph. Officially, he's day-to-day. He's not been officially cleared to play in the game yet. He retweeted and responded to someone on his Twitter feed that he would be playing in the game this weekend. If you ask me, I definitely don't see a reason why he won't be there on Saturday. Brett, what's your take? Do you think he's going to be there? And in that matchup against Corey Stokes, a similar player, what do you expect Joseph to do having missed some time?
Yeah, I think Joseph will play. I think it's a big question about how much he's going to play. The lingering effects of a head injury is, nothing to mess around with. And I'm sure if he's not at full strength before the game, I'm sure Jim Boeheim is not going to take any chances with that. If he does play, I think, like you said, you talked about, he has to have that scorer's mentality right off the bat, because that's what they were missing in Pittsburgh when they got off to that, that 19-0 hole. Was someone who could just step in, get right to the rim, and have that scorer's mentality. So that's what I think he could definitely bring, and that's what I think he needs to bring if he does play.
Yeah, I mean, basically, I agree with you. He needs to get close to that 14.6 clip that he's averaging per game leading this team. But I definitely think fans out there need to realize that Corey Stokes is a player. He's averaging more points on the year than Joseph. He's shooting at a better percentage behind the three-point line than Joseph. He could cause some problems for the Orange when they're in that 2-3 zone. So it remains to be seen. If Stokes goes off, that could present a problem for Syracuse. Another thing,
he also shoots more than 94% from the free throw line.
Yeah.
So like when he drives and he gets fouled, he can beat you there too.
It's a completely different team for SU than some of the teams they played this year. You mentioned the free throw shooting. Corey Stokes last year struggled against the Orange, and he is the one player I think we feel that the Orange need to key in on this weekend. But the main thing that he had success in last year was getting to the line. He was 8 for 10 from the line here in the Dome in the exact same game last year. So on that topic, speaking of the second key, Scoop Jardine and Brandon Trish keeping Stokes in check at the top of that zone. Can they do it? Stokes just went off for 28. And seeing that Stokes was the only player who scored in double figures against UConn for the Wildcats, if he doesn't go off, will they even be in this game?
Yeah, I mean, he went off for 28 points, like you said, and he just had a monster offensive game. It just, came down to Kemba Walker again, making a big play for Connecticut in the end. But he's someone that, like you said, that Trish and Jardine and Waiters really have to key on. And, we've seen, especially in the Pittsburgh game, guys penetrating, getting in the lane, and dishing out or dishing in, and that's how you beat the SU 2-3 zone, and it starts at the top, and they have to stop that.
It starts at the top, but to me, I think Villanova's classically a team that fares not as well against this zone as Pittsburgh, and mainly because they're not as good at getting it into, like Hopkins was describing as being in Pittsburgh, the dead spots in the zone, and then working the angles kind of backwards and getting slashers. So if Villanova can remedy that, Hopkins even said to me, teams are going to look at this and they're going to see. I'm sure Jay Wright had those guys watch that tape. If they can perfect that, then Stokes might have a game where he goes off, and then Syracuse might be in some serious trouble. Last key here, and this is the thing where it's so much different than the Pitt game, Villanova is not going to bring the bigs that Cincy even brought and that Pitt brought. They don't start a center. So Fab Melo and Bai Musakita, they need some kind of production, more than just those first 2 minutes out of Fab where he's giving up points, and more out of Bai. What can we expect out of this game? Should it be, again, kind of a bust game if Fab doesn't do exactly what he did against Cincinnati last weekend? And how much success do you see Rick Jackson having?
Yeah, well, first with Rick Jackson, I see him having another field day, another double-double, and I think he'll do very well against Villanova's smaller lineup. And like you said about Melo, I think it is a bust game if he doesn't perform like he did against Cincinnati, because we've seen what he can do, and he has an advantage here, and it's as simple as that. Yeah. With playing next to Rick Jackson, he'll have a size advantage, and he needs to exploit that. And he all he needs to do is just play solidly in the middle and just get in there and make some shots and alter some shots in the defensive end and rebound the ball. And I think his biggest contribution, if he works on it, will be on the defensive end.
Yeah, he shouldn't have as much trouble playing it simple against this team that he had against Pittsburgh, because the guys down low aren't as seasoned and just point blank aren't as tall and aren't going to present the problems that the Pittsburgh bigs presented. So I think what you can expect out of Fab this weekend is a lot more minutes and something similar to the Cincinnati game. I don't think quite that, but something like that. And out of Bai Misakita, something similar to what you saw in non-conference play. I think they should have a much better game. It remains to be seen if they can just, for one game at least in Big East play against quality opponents, for lack of a better word, dominate, but do what they need to do and give Rick some help down low. Those are the three keys, and we'll just jump into our predictions again. Brett and I will be there for you guys Saturday with all your live tweet updates and game coverage immediately online as the game ends and following the game on dailyorange.com. But Brett, who are you picking and why?
I'm going to take Syracuse in a tight one, somewhere around like 75 to 71. I think with Chris Joseph back, I think he'll be relatively healthy, and I think he will be the difference here. And I think with the crowd behind him, with another large 33,000 plus crowd, I think it'll be enough to bring SU to a victory, and probably its most impressive victory thus far.
Yeah, again, as we said before, we both think Joseph will be back. Again, it's not official, but you mentioned something huge. I mean, there's rumblings that this game might exceed 34,616, whatever the number was last year. I don't think it's quite going to get there, but still, 33,000 is 8,000 more than Cincy last weekend, and that game was the largest crowd at any college basketball game this year. So we talked a lot about the advantage Pitt had where they were, but still, SU's going to get an advantage this weekend, albeit a little bit of a different one. I think Joseph will be back. I think that SU matches up well against this Villanova team like they showed last year. Will it be a good game? Yes, but I'm picking SU 69 to 62. I truly feel that this is one of the 3, 4, or 5 best teams in the country, and the 7-point margin is, I think, what we can expect against this Villanova team, especially at home for SU. That's it for now. Again, check back into dailyorange.com this Saturday during the game, right as the game ends, and all throughout the rest of the day, as we will have complete coverage from the Dome. But for Brett, Tony signing off again. Thanks, guys.